Speaking of Business. I'm your host, Nancy Boyle. Today we've got some great topics to tell you about. First of all, if you're a military veteran, there's an upcoming conference you're going to want to know about. And also it's that time of year for disaster planning. So stay tuned for the whole show. Joining me on the first half are Nancy Alvarez Hernandez and Ron Johnson with the U.S. Small Business Administration. So welcome.
Welcome, thank you.
Okay, and Nancy, let's start with you and tell us a little bit about what you do at SBA.
Actually, I'm one of the business development specialists. I am assigned to the 8A Business Development Program, and I am responsible for managing a portfolio of about 55 firms in 3 counties. We cover 43 counties, but we've kind of divided and split the geographical coverage between 4 of us. So I cover Nassau, Duval, and Clay counties.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about the 8A program for those in the audience who aren't familiar with that.
Right. Well, the 8A program is a business developmental program. We utilize different kinds of tools to assist the business grow and develop. Some of those tools include marketing, assisting them with their marketing plan, but primarily we also assist them in how to market to the federal government. Because they're in the program, we can also use contracting opportunities on a sole source basis where they're not competing those contracts. And we also allow them the opportunity to just compete amongst themselves, so they're not actually competing with just anyone. So with all those tools, we really assist the small businesses in develop and grow. So,
okay,
and that's
great.
the mission of the program.
Excellent. Ron, tell us about what you do at the SBA.
Well, I'm a lenders relations specialist, and what I do basically there is I interface a lot with lenders, the lending community, the bankers, and I talk to them and try to convince them, the ones that are not in our SBA guarantee loan programs, I try to convince them to get into the program, show them the benefits, show them how they can mitigate the risks of their portfolio by taking advantage of the SBA guarantees. And it's hopefully to encourage them to lend monies to the smaller businesses and make it a win-win situation. I also have another responsibility, and that responsibility is I'm the Veterans Business Development Officer for the district. And in that responsibility, what I do is I basically oversee, I take a look at and keep an eye on the activities, the legislation, and the activities that are affecting veteran-owned businesses, service-connected disabled veteran-owned businesses, as well as veteran-owned businesses. And I try to monitor those activities and actions, and then I try to interface with as many veteran-owned businesses as I can to kind of give them information, help point them in the right direction, give them information about lending opportunities, procurement opportunities, and then I refer them also to the Veterans Business Outreach Center, which is one of our 8 or 9 outreach centers that we have in the country. We have one here in Florida, and unfortunately it's located out in Panama City, but they do a lot of work, a lot of interface with veterans all over the region, especially Florida, Georgia, Alabama. And I interface with them and try to make sure that their services and activities are known to the veteran community, veteran business community.
Okay, and really what we're here to talk about today is the upcoming conference.
Yes.
So, and this is geared strictly for veterans or small businesses or?
Well, the conference is actually, this particular conference is focused on small businesses that are owned by veterans.
Okay.
Okay, service-connected disabled veterans or veterans, their families, and anybody who's interested who may or may not be a veteran, they're certainly welcome to attend the conference. But that's really the focus, and so that conference is the conference that we're putting on. That's going to be happening in September 9th.
Okay.
Of this year. It's going to be at the University North Florida Small Business Development Center. That area there. We're going to use one of their conference rooms, and we're going to take about a half a day from about 7:30 in the morning till about 12:30 to cover a lot of different things about the SBA's programs that are available for veterans, small business development centers, activities with veterans, as well as the Veterans Business Opportunities Centers, their activities and programs and things that they're doing on behalf and for the veteran community, veteran business owner community.
Okay, so just for clarity's purposes, if you're a military veteran, if you're service disabled, or you're a member of the family, that's kind of the core group you're targeting.
Yeah.
And certainly anybody else is welcome to come.
Absolutely.
And so it's September 9th for half a day out at the UNF University Center.
Exactly.
Okay, now the next question is, how much does it cost?
It's free. There's
Well,
no charge.
There's no charge for that. Everybody
It's-
likes that.
It's
Yes.
free. There's no funding required. No registration fees are required. But we do require that you register for the event. So we
Okay.
like to keep track of the head count, keep track of individuals that are families and businesses that are attending.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so how can people register? You can go online, right?
Yes, you can go online to the Small Business Development Center's website. They have a website that's www.sbdc.edu, and it's at their link, at their website. There's a link that says register for the Veterans Conference.
Okay.
We're going to put up a link, hopefully, within the next couple of days. We'll iron out the bugs there, but we'll put up a link on the SBA's district office website that'll take people directly to that link so that they can register and be registered for the event.
Okay, and once again, that's www.sbdc.unf.edu.
Exactly.
So we'll get that one out exactly.
Okay.
Nancy, tell us a little bit about the topics that are going to be presented.
Well, we're going to be covering a variety of topics. If you notice, the title for the conference is Veterans Small Business Capital and Procurement Seminar. I'm going to be focusing primarily in the area that has to do with procurement and making sure that the veterans understand the different programs out there for contracting with the government. For example, we use a lot the Service Disabled Veteran Certification. There's also a veteran-owned business certification.
Okay.
And certainly each of those has their own benefits. And there's a lot of misconception in terms of, you know, what are you entitled to based on the type of certification that you're applying to, and then the process of certification. So we want to make sure that people understand the difference between one program and the other,
Okay.
and then how to proceed to get certified under one of those two designations. And then the other part of the seminar covers the capital. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
Ron would be more than happy to give us,
Yeah.
you know, the area of capital that they're going to cover.
Yeah, typically, what we intend to do is to bring together information, provide information about the various SBA loan guarantee programs that relates to the veteran,
Okay.
specifically the Patriot Loan Guarantee Program, as well as the other SBA loan programs that a business would use in order to develop capital, access capital for the business, working capital, lines of credits, perhaps even to purchase fixed assets, things of that nature. So we're going to use some of our lending partners are going to participate on this event. They're going to come and participate and be able to answer questions for any business who wants to pose a question, any owner wants to pose a question, or great opportunity for networking. You want to meet a lender, you want to find out about lenders, which lenders are working with veteran-owned businesses, service-connected, disabled veteran-owned businesses, perfect opportunity, and we'll have them there.
So if I'm sitting in the audience and I've served in the military and I've got my business going, what are some of the big takeaways? Certainly the certification, the differences in the certification and the process to become certified.
Absolutely, but there's also a lot of opportunities for veteran and service-disabled veteran companies. You know, we talk about the opportunities to joint ventures. There are a lot of contracts out
Okay.
there that are being set aside for veterans. And certainly, you know, a joint venture is a way of actually partnering up with another company that might have the capabilities that you might be lacking in some area, and pursue some opportunities that have been set aside for veterans or service-disabled veterans. So in this conference, we're actually going to have a couple of the procurement agencies that are going to be available, include the Army Corps of Engineers, certainly the Veteran Administration, which is big right now, and
Sure.
opportunities for veterans will be there. NAVFAC, Naval Facilities Engineering Command Southeast will be there. And we're going to have some other partners there with us in the conference.
So somebody coming there who's an established business, whether they're certified, maybe they are certified, might conceivably walk away with a potential contract.
That is correct.
Well,
There is the opportunity.
Let's say that if they don't walk away with that contract, they'll walk away with the contact.
To make the
they-
contract.
Exactly. They'll know where to go, and they'll know who that person is, and they'll have that information. So it'd be a great opportunity to network and to really find out, you know, who's on first, who's on second, that kind of thing. But as far as the lending, the access to capital side of it, we're going to have some lenders there that are very active in lending to veteran-owned businesses, disabled veteran-owned businesses also, who are very, very active in it. So it's a great opportunity to also network with those particular lenders and you know, and develop that relationship, that initial relationship.
Well, and it certainly sounds to me like it's going to be a wonderful opportunity. Who are some of your other sponsors that are going to work with you on this event?
The Small Business Development Center, of course. They're one of our key partners in the business of counseling, which is part of what we do, the services. Also, we expect to have our SCORE partners there. We're certainly going to invite them and make them aware of it. The Veterans Business Outreach Center coordinator is coming all the way down from Lynn Haven, Panama City area to participate in this event, and he'll have an opportunity to he'll take an opportunity to talk a little bit about some of their successes, even though they're located that far away. A lot of people say, well, if they're so far away, why do I need them? You know, it's another resource, and you may want to use them. You may want to use the Small Business Development Center, and certainly you want to use the SCORE Service Corps of Retired Executives. Typically in the summertime, we do a transition assistance program for the officers and NCOs that are retiring from the Navy. We typically do that at Mayport, out at NAS Mayport. We didn't get a chance to do that this summer for whatever the reasons were. So we're hoping that all of the officers and non-commissioned officers that are retiring anytime within the next 6 months or so who did not make that TAP, it's called a TAP program, training activity or program, if they'll have an opportunity to come out to this training and get what I call the long version of it.
Well, it sounds like then anybody who, if they're not retired yet and they're thinking of going into business, would certainly gain value from this.
Definitely.
So that when you're getting your business started and you're writing your business plan, you know about what kind of certification you should go after if it's appropriate, and you know how to structure your loan proposal or how to target it.
Right.
Precisely.
Also, the PTAC is going to be there. Procurement Technical Assistance Center representative will also be at the conference, and they're a great resource too. So.
Okay, great.
So we're going to have an all-star lineup, and I think it'll be a very productive opportunity for any of the National Guard, Army Reserve, Air Force Reserve, any of the active duty personnel, people that have retired from the military, people that have just transitioned out, honorably discharged, and are looking at starting a business. I feel so many calls each day from individuals who say, I'm coming out. In fact, I fielded a call last week from an individual who was based out in Italy. He was on a Navy personnel out in Italy, and he called me, I don't know what the time was out there, and he wanted to talk about the fact that he was coming out in about 3 months, coming back to Jacksonville so that he could come out of the service, and he was setting up a business, and he wanted to know what steps do I need to get involved in. And one of the first things I say to him, you need to get in contact with the Small Business Development Center.
Well, good. Well, on that note, we've got to go to break, so I want to thank you for both for being here.
Sure.
And remember, it's the Veterans Small Business Capital Procurement Seminar, September the 9th at the University of North Florida University Center. So mark your calendars, and don't go away. We'll be right back with another interesting topic. If you have a topic you'd like us to discuss, or you'd like more information about today's show, please write to Speaking of Business, care of SBDC, 12,000 Alumni Drive, Jacksonville, Florida, 32224, or visit our website at www.sbdc.unf.edu. Welcome back to Speaking of Business. It's that time of year, time for you to be making sure you're prepared in case any disasters occur. So joining me on the second half of our show are Kathy Hagan and Robert Myers, both with the Small Business Development Center at UNF. So welcome.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Kathy, we'll start with you. Ladies first. Tell us a little bit about what you do at SBDC.
Okay. Well, the Small Business Development Center provides management assistance for small businesses, so that's my primary role. Run workshops, work with business owners to help them in planning for good times and bad, and part of that is focused on business continuity planning and being prepared for the unexpected.
Okay, Bob?
Basically the same thing, business analyst with the Small Business Development Center, helping small business owners solve almost any kind of problem that they have, and certainly disaster preparedness, business continuity is one of those in this time of the year.
Well, and you both have gone through some very specific training with regard to this topic, correct?
That's correct.
You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, some of it's just kind of trial by fire. And back in, I guess, 2004, when there were lots of hurricanes here in the First Coast area, we kind of got thrust into helping businesses with disaster loan applications and starting to do some planning. And then again in 05, Bob and I both had the chance to go to New Orleans and work in a disaster recovery center after Hurricane Katrina kind of devastated the Gulf Coast. So I consider that the experience of hard knocks is probably the biggest thing, but lots of different training programs we've been through.
Number of training programs, and especially being on the ground. Florida being where it is, of course, geographically, and the history that we've had in relation to hurricanes and disasters. Puts us in touch with a lot of business owners that either have been affected in the past or could be in the future. So we feel that that's an emphasis that we want to try to have among ourselves to help small business owners prepare themselves for what could be a significant issue in the continuity of their business and their processes that they have in generating revenue.
Well, and I think most people, when you say disaster, they think hurricanes. But in the grand scheme of things, hurricanes is just,
Right.
one part of that.
So the approach is all hazards.
Hazards,
Anything
okay.
that might impact the operations, the continuity of your business, whether it be a natural disaster, whether it be an oil spill in the Gulf, whether it be your server crashes and you lose all your data, your competitor steals, all your information, whatever it might be. So can you be prepared for any potential hazard?
So what are you teaching people to do?
Well, we want to make them resilient against whether the human or man-made or natural disasters. And we get asked a number of times the difference between disaster preparedness and business continuity. And the fact is, disaster preparedness is a plan that looks after the fact and how do we get back after the event has already happened. We like to concentrate and help our business owners focus on business continuity, preparing now to get the venture or the business through the disaster, whatever that might be, and maintain its revenue producing model that it's established.
So, it's kind of like writing the business plan when you're getting started in a business. Everybody knows they need to do it. It's real important to do. But somehow you just can't get them motivated to do that. So how's that working?
Kathy has a saying about when the first named storm happens, and people tend to be motivated.
We can fill a classroom.
Yes.
Yeah. I think if you, just like any with business planning, if you try to make it less intimidating, and Bob mentioned business continuity as being the most important piece, and that's so what we try to do is try to get the businesses to focus on what are the key processes within their business that help them make money, generate revenue, and for several businesses we've helped them just flow chart that. What does it look like, and where are those critical points of failure. And then how do you address protecting them, whether it be mitigating them by fixing things or insuring them or or avoiding them completely. So you just kind of think about each component, and all together it makes a plan.
There was a key word that Kathy mentioned about mitigation. There are a lot of things that small businesses, any business size, can do to help alleviate a potential disaster, and by mitigating that process, those equipment, the paperwork, whatever, to minimize the loss if it does happen.
You mentioned insurance. Where does insurance fit in here? Everybody will go, well, if I have a disaster, my insurance will cover it.
Yeah, well, you got to have it, but it doesn't cover everything. There's little things like deductibles. Hurricane deductibles can be quite sizable. There's a lot of insurance products you can purchase. Again, there's an upfront cost, but for example, business interruption insurance is a good tool if I buy that insurance and my business is interrupted because of a disaster or even an event, then it can help pay for operations during a time of recovery. So I think it's important, probably one of the most important things is to whoever you are, is to talk to your insurance agent and find out, what is covered, what is not, what is your liability.
Business owners should do that, I think, at least on an annual basis, review the policies that they have. When business owners think of insurance, I think they tend to naturally look at the liability insurance that they've had, but physical and catastrophic business continuation, interruption insurance can be key in helping the business continue.
Right.
So and affordability is a factor. I agree with that, but they should at least review what they have and see if it's what they want and how they can perhaps improve on that.
Right.
Okay, and I want to get back to something you said, Kathy, earlier, when you were talking with clients about mapping their processes.
Right.
It would seem to me that, especially since we've gone through the last couple of years of economic challenge, it would seem to me that that would be a good exercise to do on a fairly often basis to see where your weak links are, or where you're, kind of wasting your money, or that kind of thing.
Well, we talked about all hazards planning, and you could certainly look at the current economy as disastrous for a lot of businesses. So looking for efficiencies, and that's the probably the definition of process management is looking for ways to be leaner, more efficient, eliminate steps or improve steps, so that there's less chance for error and less chance for failure. So process management is a real buzzword in a day-to-day operations of a business. Oftentimes used for bigger businesses. Oftentimes you hear it more in manufacturing, the lean manufacturing, things like that. But really, to me, can be applied to any type of business. Is what do you do that generates money, and how do you preserve those those systems?
Whether it's a recessionary downturn, the particular state of the economy, or natural man-made disaster, there are key points of failure that need to be pointed out, underscored, and either mitigated or protected in that business.
And so what do you say to that business owner who is so busy putting out fires and trying to get their widgets to the market?
I would tell them, or we try to tell them, that every dollar spent today on helping mitigate a potential disaster will save them, if it does happen to them, will save them $3 to $4 to come back and try to repair or put the process back together after the event has happened.
Well, and I would think, and I remember especially, Bob, you telling the story of when you were in Louisiana, and I think it was a car dealership, and I mean, they were just wiped out. I mean, it was just like these guys weren't coming back.
No, something like between 200, 250 vehicles, brand new vehicles, windshield up to the windshield with water. So the insurance for that particular business could take care of those physical assets, but there were so many people without a job because there was nothing to sell. There was nothing to sell. There were no customers around there to sell cars to, for example. So how do you maintain the payroll? What steps could that business have taken to make sure that their people were safe and had a job or had something to do after the disaster happened? That was a heartbreaking situation.
Yeah, I remember that. Well, and the other issue around that too is there needs to be some kind of plan where employees can check in with each other after the fact, so you can make sure everybody's okay, or if in fact, God forbid, there should be another Katrina type disaster, but if in fact the business is, okay, you got hit, power went out, or whatever, it was a fire, whatever it was, okay, let's check in with each other, let's get this, we know what we're going to do, we got the game plan in place, here's where we're going to meet, or here's what we're going to do.
Sure.
I mean, you get your business back rolling so much more quickly.
Well, communication is probably one of the biggest. I put on the top of the list in terms of what goes into a continuity plan or disaster plan, whatever you want to call it. Communication with your employees, the I'm okay number, so that folks can call in and say, hey, I'm alive and kicking. Communication with your customers to say, hey, we took a hit, but we're back in business tomorrow. Your vendors, your creditors. So maintaining data. And while I don't think business continuity and disaster preparedness is totally IT related, if you lose access to information, you may very well have lost a business.
If we can get small business owners to focus on three things: people, processes, and things or assets, property, in other words. So if we can get them to put something very simple, quick, easy, things that any number of places they can get templates and work out communication scenarios and recording ID numbers of equipment and looking at their insurance documentation and so forth. That's half of a disaster plan
Sure
right
it
there.
is.
Well, and I think one of the beauties of the Small Business Development Center, especially both of you who've gone through all of this disaster training and all of that, is that you're very well attuned to what resources are available to someone after the fact, should they be hit.
Sure.
You know what loan programs are going to be out there. You know who to contact. You can get them directed to get resurrected as quickly as possible.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to go back to the oil spill because, excuse me, we know it's over in the Gulf, and we know a lot of businesses over on the Gulf side have been impacted with that whole scenario, but is that affecting our area in any way?
Well, I think it's affecting our area in terms of there are certainly businesses over on this coast that have customers over there, and so as you look at your business continuity plan, it's not only what happens to to your business, but you have the upstream and the downstream. Upstream you have your suppliers. If you're dependent on shrimpers to provide you shrimp for your restaurant over here in Duval County, then you're certainly impacted. And likewise, if you have customers in an impacted area who no longer have money or there's no longer a demand for what you're selling because they're not there, the cars wouldn't sell because nobody had any money, nobody had any jobs, then you're impacted. So yes, to that extent, it certainly is impacting some businesses here.
There's a degree of severity. The state of Florida is one of the leaders among all the states in dealing with disasters before and after, as a matter of fact. And the severity, of course, has affected the counties on the Gulf
Sure.
and contiguous to the Gulf counties, much more so than Duval. So there is, in fact, a Florida State Bridge Loan Program in effect, but it is only applying to those counties that are along the Gulf or contiguous to those same counties. There could be Duval County or Northeast Florida counties or businesses that again, as Kathy said, has customers or maybe have supply lines back and forth. But the fact is, if their business is located here, then it's not one of the designated counties, so that particular loan program probably would not apply.
Okay. We're almost out of time. Any last quick words?
Put a plan together, check the FEMA.gov website,
Okay.
ready.gov for some good templates, good disaster planning hints, ideas, and scenarios.
Okay, great.
And I think if you go to you can certainly go to our website, but also our state website, floridasbdc.org. On their homepage is a link to a lot of disaster resources and a lot of specifics related to the oil spill as well.
Okay, great. Well, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Come back next time and we'll be speaking of business. Bye now.